we are exploring. This is part one of a two-part video where I revisit Cadron Settlement Park in Conway, Arkansas. There's a previous video about this park that I made that gives you some basic information, but you're gonna see something new and you're gonna hear something new in these two videos. In the first part, I'm going to show you a settler's cemetery, and in the second part, we're gonna walk along Cadron Creek and you will find out more about this. Cadron Settlement was started around 1818, and the building you've seen is a blockhouse, but this is a reconstruction of an original building that was on site here, built in the early 1800s, and that served as a tavern and a fur trading post until about 1831, the early 1830s, when this settlement was more or less abandoned. It turned out that the fur trading business was not doing that well, and the little town Cadron that was here was abandoned. It still left some people living in the area. Residents of the town were maybe 6 to 8 families, but in the wider area here around the Cadron settlement there were about 25 families. This used to be a spring, and we often find that springs are located near settlements, or vice versa, that settlers picked spots to settle where there was a spring nearby, but this spring has dried up. But that was certainly not the reason why people left. The hills here, we're surrounded by hills, and on one side is the Arkansas River that we're gonna have a closer look at in part 2 of this video. The hills around are very infertile, so agriculture was not really a great option for the families living here, at least not at a large scale. At some point there was a stagecoach stop here, and sometime in the early 1800s the Cadron settlement was even considered to be the seat of the Arkansas territory, but only considered this. But this never became reality. So you get the idea. This started around 1818, and the little town that was established here, just a few blocks in each direction, was abandoned in the early 1830s. Here we're going to make our way up the hill on a trail that is medium grade, I would say. The trail actually is pretty easy. I just say medium because it's a bit steep. But they have paved trails downhill around the reconstruction of the log house that you can take if you're not in the mood for climbing uphill. And over here there's the cemetery coming up. This is a primitive cemetery of the Stephan Harris family, who settled in this area before 1829, so a few years before the decline of the town, but they still owned land here until 1903. And there you see a huge oak tree that was apparently planted at the head end of this first grave we're gonna see here, the area where the leaves are. People were buried in wooden coffins. They would cave in and create an indentation in the ground that is still visible, and over there are 3 head markers, and you can also see an indentation in the ground where the leaves collect. Depending on the slope of the land, sometimes these little holes get filled in, but this is clearly a grave, and I am trying to be careful to not step onto any of these graves. There are 3 probably sandstone rocks marking the head ends of the graves of these settlers here. The Harris family at Cadron Settlement, or close by. May they rest in peace. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it.